Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for today's lecture on skills development for regulatory affairs. Today we are going to look into essential skills for regulatory affairs. We will go over the following points. First, we will go over the regulatory knowledge. Then we will continue with the writing skills, oral communication, organization skills, critical thinkings needed for regulatory affairs, business skills, problem solving skills, and analytical skills. Now let's go over the essential skills for regulatory affairs related to the knowledge. Regulatory knowledge is of paramount importance for regulatory affairs professionals as they play a crucial role in ensuring that organizations comply with laws and regulations related to their products and operations. Indeed, in each country, we do have, different ministries, different organizations that are in charge of setting rules, following standards. Hence, we need to have those already written in existing regulations. So when we talk about regulations, we should first talk about laws. Usually, in any democracy, we are having parliaments. Now, those parliaments are called in different ways, but they are parliaments that are composed of people who are elected representatives of the population, and they will go over different types of laws because we need to have laws in any country. So in Canada, for example, we do have Food and Drugs Act of Canada. In the USA, we do have Food and Drugs and Cosmetics Act. We also have similar laws in European Union, in different European countries, in Eastern countries, in Western countries as well, in Americas. I'm talking about South America. And in all of these countries, we do have parliaments who are writing those laws. So coming back to the law, which is in Canada, the Food and Drugs Act, this law is telling us that we need to follow specific standards that are international, and then we have to recognize them. We usually have those standards, or we refer to those international standards in the regulations that we write in each country. And the law itself is telling us that, for example, if you are having a drug or a medical device, maybe a legal cannabis product, cosmetics, natural products, and non-prescription products as well, foods as well, we need to follow standards, and we need to have authorization from the country, so from the designated body in any country, in order to be able to do business, to manufacture, to prepare, to package, to label, to market, and of course to do research in case our product may need, of course, to have a solid scientific explanations and of course justifications that the product is good for the well-being of our population. And then once those laws are written and reviewed, depending again on the calendar for each country, we will see that we will have one organization, one institution, one ministry. For example, in Canada, we have Ministry of Health Federal, that will then write regulations for helping all of the businesses to be in compliance with the law. So when we talk about regulations, we are talking about all of those different types of communications that are again made to different businesses by the health authorities. And again, in Canada, we have Health Canada. In the USA, we have FDA. And again, for example, in Europe, we have EMA. And of course, again, even in Europe, we do have in each country, based on these jurisdictions, their own regulations as well when applicable. And the same, I would say, rule applies to any country in the world. So when we talk about regulatory knowledge, we are talking about a knowledge related to the existing laws, acts, and of course to the existing regulations written by different institutions. And for example, I give you, I would say, the case of a drug. If you would like to, submit a registration application to Health Canada for a prescription drug, we will need to go to Health Canada website, and then we will need to learn about the regulations, because regulations tell us exactly what we should do. And again, Health Canada is going to give us several guidance documents where we will have forms in the website where we have the guidance documents. We are going to have different requirements, and all of these requirements are based on the standards, because we need to follow standards when we are making any product. Now, standards may be for the production. Standards may apply to the transportation, to testing, to quality control activities, even exporting, importing, manufacturing, and of course clinical trials. And again, this is not just stopping there, because when a product is also on the market, we still need to follow the safety profile of the product. So in a nutshell, I just explained to you what are those regulatory requirements. These are again related to the regulatory knowledge. Now let's talk about the writing skills. It's imperative to have excellent writing skills, especially if you will be involved in writing regulatory submissions, for preparing, again, the meeting presentations, for preparing different documentations. Those documentations may be administrative, but they may also be very scientific, they are going to need a very high level of expertise from different parties in order to show the efficacy, safety, and quality profile of your product. So for all of these different 3 points, we do have not only the law, which is in Canada, again, the Food and Drugs Act, but also we have different regulations that you can find in Regulatory Affairs, in Health Canada website related to regulatory affairs. So when we talk about writing skills, we are talking about being clear, being precise, providing enough information, founded, of course, well-founded information related to the safety, efficacy, and quality of any product that we're going to put on the market. Now, another point is about the oral communication. When we are dealing with this type of submissions, we need, of course, to be able to write well, precisely, but we also need to be able to communicate orally. So this is an important day-to-day activity. And excellent skills needed for regulatory meetings are also embedded, meaning that here it means that we need to be able to talk with, for example, in Canada, with Health Canada inspectors, with Health Canada scientific reviewers. If you are in the USA, we need to be able to communicate well, scientifically, of course, with, again, FDA officers. So, again, this is another skill that needs to be developed well. And don't forget that it's just a matter of talking. It's communication. It's using the specific terms that we use not only in science or in scientific terms, but terms also that we use in laws and regulations and standards. For example, if we are dealing with medical devices, we are going to need to have a total quality management system as per, again, ICH Q10, but also as per ISO 13485. So here we are looking into not only medical terms, but these are industrial terms. These are manufacturing terms. So when I'm talking about oral communication, I'm talking about regulatory affairs professionals who are able to, again, communicate well, but again, in different fields. Not only clinical research, not only pharmacovigilance, not only packaging, labeling, shipping, but also about regulations and standards that are, again, here in place in order to make sure that the drugs that we are going to, or the products that we are going to put on the market are safe, they have the quality and the efficacy that they are expected to have. Now, another topic or point for regulatory affairs professionals is the organizing skills. So documentation management and change control. We can also talk about project management. Why? That's because not only we need to prepare, different submissions, but also we need to know what we are writing about. We may also say that, okay, we are going to have contractors or consultants who are going to write specific documents. Obviously, you're right. However, as a regulatory affairs professional, you will still be in charge of reviewing and checking the accuracy of the information in each and every of these documents, and you are in charge of preparing different documentations that you're going to keep up to date. And then you're going to use this type of documentations that are maybe more than 500-600 types of, I would say, documents and topics in order to prepare, for example, a new drug submission for Health Canada. So we need to be able to understand those documents. And of course, we need also to have administrative skills in order to manage those documents, because a document is not just going to be only one. Any document is going to be updated. And imagine if you have about 500 different documents on different topics based on the actual regulations. Those documents are going to be updated. You're going to have new certificates, because old certificates are going to be, for example, for a lab, for example, are going to be expired. So you have new, again, certificates. You're going to have sometimes new forms. Regulations may also change. So we need to constantly looking into those different changes. And don't forget, the only thing that doesn't change is the change itself. Now let's talk about the project management. The project management is a skill. This is a skill that allows you to write down, talk about different tasks involved in any activity. The activity may be preparation of a new drug submission for Health Canada, a new drug application for FDA. It may also be just writing an article, a scientific article. It may be again, a report as well. In each report, in each article, in each submission, we do have several sections or several topics that we have to develop, and then we have to make a documentation based on the proofs that we have related to the efficacy, safety, and quality of a product. So when we talk about project management, in addition to a few documentation, of course, we need to be able to write the task, writing about when the task may start, when it will end, when the next task, if related to the previous task, is going to start and end, then what are the predecessors of the task, for example, who is in charge or who are in charge, what are the equipments that we are using, and what is the budget that we have. And project management itself is not just a matter of adding tasks or putting start and end dates and saying who is doing the job. In any job, you need to use this as a tool, as an organizing skill. This is documentation. This is piloting or directing or managing a project. And you're going to deal with several people, several departments, hundreds of different documents. And then from day one, when we start to have the kickoff meeting, we need to also choose the right people. We need to explain the project. We need to have some documentations, because we need to document the project. Then we have to set timelines. We need to deal with different departments in order to make sure that they have enough people, right people, and the expertise that we need in order to prepare those documents. And then we are going to continue to manage or to drive the project, because now we are dealing with people, with timelines, with quality requirements, with the budget as well. And this is how we are going to run a project. Now a project may be of 1 week, it may be 1 month, it may be a year. For example, for the new drug submissions, it takes usually 3 to 4 people working full-time. And this is going to be, again, requiring about 6 to 7 months just for the preparation. Because at the same time that you're preparing your documents and you're preparing your submission packages, you're also going to have documents that are going to, new documents that will come to your desk, and you also have existing documents that now are changed, or they are improved, or they are expired, and we have now to have a new document. So it's really juggling with priorities, with the timelines, and with people, and with the priorities of people as well. And for this, for the project management, you need to have some experience, and we already have those experiences, because when you wake up in the morning and you're preparing your coffee, for example, this is also a project. Because just the coffee itself is, again, someone has to buy the coffee, someone has to prepare the coffee, someone has to serve the coffee, we have to clean the coffee machine. Anyways, there are so many different tasks involved in just making a coffee. Now imagine that now we are going to make it more complex. We're going to look into, again, now writing regulatory documents. It may be a document on the pharmacology of a document, of a drug. In this case, we see very well that we need to have expertise, we need to have people in regulatory affairs having organizing skills in order to manage so many documents, and then of course to run a project, to complete a project, and of course to end up having a drug or a product registered in the market. And again, it doesn't end there, because we still continue to go over testing the quality, safety, and efficacy of the product, or even on the market. We are going to have different activities. Employees are coming, they are going, they have to be trained, they're going to be trained on different regulations. Regulations may change. So what I'm saying is that you are really going into a very dynamic environment, that everything is changing in real time. So organizing skills is key in regulatory affairs. Now let's talk about critical thinking. What is critical thinking? The process of analyzing and assessing available facts, evidence, data, and observations to arrive at or synthesize new information, decision, or knowledge is critical thinking. So critical thinking skills in the context of regulatory affairs are interpretation, analysis, evaluation, inference, explanation, and self-regulation related to any task that we are going to complete for I would say for submission of new drugs, for testing new drugs, for putting them on the market, for keeping them on the market. And as you see, we need to be able to do the interpretation of the regulations, do the market analysis, quality analysis, even doing other types of analysis that we do, because we are having data every day related to different activities in different departments, and we need to be able to do the analysis. We need to evaluate the quality of the studies, evaluate the quality of the reports that we write. We need to look into the explanations. And of course, the self-regulation, we need to make sure that we are, again, working on ourselves as well, and we'll be able to do all of these different activities at the same time. Of course, don't forget that regulatory affairs itself is a field. It's a field of specialty, and here, as you see, these are the skills that we need. So oral communication, again, writing skills, again, knowing about or learning about anything new about the regulations, knowing about the standards, knowing about the project management. All of these different skills are going to help you to develop your critical thinking as well. Now let's talk about a business skill. Don't forget that in regulatory affairs, like any other field, we are dealing with providing services and products. So when we talk about services and products, we are talking about different markets, different people who are going to benefit from our services and products. So this is what we call a business. This is where we offer a service or a product, and we are of course going to get in exchange money or any other type of I would say products or other services as well. And here, when we talk about the business skills, we're talking about balancing business that needs and goals with regulatory requirements and responsibilities. Don't forget that in regulatory affairs, when we are also going to put our product on the market, we are going to have advertisements. We're going to have different types of communications with consumers, as well as with healthcare providers, as well as with different regulatory agencies such as Health Canada or FDA. So here we are dealing with, again, different responsibilities. These are all business responsibilities as well. Now let's talk about the problem solving in regulatory affairs. So problem solving is the ability to overcome an obstacle through critical thinking, decision making, creativity, and information processing. Like in any other field, in the regulatory affairs field, we are not dealing with the same product, the same regulations, the same standards, the same people, the same consumers. Nothing is the same. This is why we need to be able to exert our skills in critical thinking in order to understand the challenges or new challenges they may come up on the road. And then we will need to, again, overcome those obstacles. We're going to have to make decision making, for example, decision making for even starting a project, continuing with a project, or completing a project as well. As you know, up to 70% of products, when they go to the, I would say, to the pipeline for the registration of the products, in phase 2 of clinical trials, they may just become a failure. That's because many products, and here I'm talking about the prescription drugs, they may have some effect, but we also look into the safety profile of the drug. If we see in phase 2, for example, that we need to give a higher dose of a compound, however, it's going to, again, cause adverse drug reactions that are serious, in this case we may not go to phase 3 and we may just stop the project, because even if the drug is showing that it has the efficacy, it doesn't have the appropriate or acceptable safety profile. Or on the other side, we may say that, okay, this product is having the efficacy, and we do know that it also has adverse drug reactions that some may be serious, but they can also be monitored by healthcare providers. So we are going to decide to still continue with our trials, continuing to apply to register for this product. We are going to write all of these different strengths and weaknesses of the product in the product monograph. We are going to have this registration application reviewed by the healthcare authorities in any country, and then we are going to accept that yes, this product is having some risks. However, the risk-benefit ratio can justify why we are applying for the registration and for putting the drug on the market. So here we are talking about critical thinking skills, and we are talking about problem-solving skills in regulatory affairs. Now let's talk about analytical skills. This is the ability to break down complex or simple information and draw logical conclusions, the ability to build or develop new knowledge by critical analyzing existing information or data. Analytical skills can help you excel in regulatory affairs, and they should be able to analyze scientific and clinical information data and determine its strength and weaknesses. Now, regulatory affairs professionals must be able to anticipate the issue that regulatory agencies will raise in every regulatory transaction. They have to make informed assessments based on prior knowledge and experience. Professionals in regulatory affairs must be able to recognize and determine issues early on in drug development cycle, so appropriate actions can be taken early on. Now let's talk about the decision-making skills. This is about evaluating options and making informed decisions. So you need good analytical skills to make informed decisions. Now let's talk about cultivating creativity and innovation. Creative thinking is not just encouraged, but this is mandatory in regulatory affairs. These are again for having innovative approaches to problem solving. We need to be able to identify issues or challenges or problems and to do the analysis. And we need to apply root cause analysis methods in order to use our creative thinking skills and then to make decisions based on the evidence, based on the practical or empirical results. Now we also have another point, a very crucial, very important point, which is about the compliance and ethics. So we need to know about integrating ethics into problem solving and decision making. And we have to ensure compliance with regulatory standards, These are all standards that are written in the regulations and guidance documents or guidelines, or in Europe we talk about directives, or in other countries they may be called with different terms, but these are all standards that are written, that are required by regulatory authorities, and we have to follow those standards. We have to be in compliance with those standards in order to make sure that we are going to give an appropriate product that has the safety, the efficacy, and the quality profile that we need. So all of those different, I would say, qualities must be again proven. They must be documented as well. So everything should be on ethics. For example, we are talking about doing clinical trials. We are talking about ethics as well. But ethics is not just related to clinical trials. Ethics is in each and every transaction, in each and every communication, in each and every decision making. Now let's talk about regulatory change management. So this is about adapting to regulatory changes and updates. So how can you update to the changing regulatory landscape? It's imperative that pharmaceutical companies have a process in place to relay regularly to the regulatory change information throughout the organization, and this is where each regulatory affairs professional needs to stay up to date with changes. And again, these are different tools that we can use, especially on internet as well, where we can become aware of any change in any site, in any web page, and even in any document that exists on internet. We can also be subscribed, for example, to different emails, email alerts from FDA or from Health Canada or any other regulatory agency in case they offer those services, so that as soon as there is a new change, there is a change about in a form, for example, we will become aware, and we are going to, of course, continue to be in full compliance with the regulations. Now, another very important point for regulatory affairs professionals is to continue to learn and to go over professional development trainings. Those trainings are usually required at the beginning when we apply for a job. For example, for having a solid resume, we need to have a few corporate level certificates. So why we talk about corporate level certificates? Because these are trainings that are offered by professionals. You may say there are also associations. Yes, you have different associations like CAPRA, or you have RAPS, or you have 20, 30 other associations that you can find in Canada. These associations are very important because they are allowing us to network. We have members of the association that will go and they're going to have network. They're going to have sometimes dinners, sometimes some conventions, and they're going to gather together. They also have, again, some type of procedures that they have in place. But if you would like to get, again, professional developments, you will need to go to professionals. So it's not a matter of networking, it's a matter of learning specific tasks in the regulatory environment. So for example, here we can talk about, one of them is about Crown College of Canada that offers corporate level trainings and internships to corporations, to new employees, as well as to job seekers and new graduates as well. So these are all training courses, corporate level, so very specific and very professional courses that are offered to different population in order for them to show that they have been having a continuous learning and they're having a professional development plan as well. If not, again, as I already mentioned, for networking, the best place for now is LinkedIn, because you have access to several individuals and professionals, and of course even companies where you will be able to join them, and if they have time, if this is something that is professionally acceptable, you can also contact them and get some information about the organization. If not, you can always contact each company itself and then asking for some information. For getting jobs, same thing. We have in each of these companies a human resources department, and we can always contact the human resources department and telling them what is our resume. In our resume, don't forget that you need to have a few corporate level training certificates showing that you are having some specialized knowledge about specific tasks in regulatory affairs. And obviously, even if they don't have an available position for now, for the time being, it's always a good idea to connect with HR, human resources, and then to send your resume. But again, to tell, not just send a resume without anything, of course, with a cover letter explaining again your availability, your knowledge, your level of, knowledge in regulatory affairs. And of course, here, you need, of course, to have minimum a bachelor's degree or equivalence as per ICH Q7 or GMP. And then the company, when they see that you do have, again, the appropriate experience and qualifications, and here qualifications are your corporate level training certificates, they are going to look into whether or not they can find a position for you, or they will keep your resume in their database for a few months. And when they are going to need some experts, or to hire some experts, or even consultants, they may contact you as well. So don't forget about continuous learning and professional development. In any resume, we have several sections. The first section of the resume starts with the professional background. Then the next sections will be continued, and then with the job that you have been doing. And after that section, you need to have a section for your continuous learning and professional development. This is where you are going to write a few corporate level certificates that you did obtain from the country in which you are going to work. Don't forget that. If you give me, for example, show me a certificate in GCP from Albania, okay, of course, it has its value, obviously, but in Canada, we are using different terminologies, we have different regulations, not that they are identical, they are similar based on international guidelines and standards. However, we need to have Canadian corporate level training certificates because you are applying for Canada. If you would like to work in the US, obviously you will need to have a different certificates, or of course corporate level training certificates on international standards or guidelines, as well as a few related to FDA. Okay, so now continuing with competencies and training, regulatory affairs professionals must develop the core competencies required for the profession. These are those that are already covered in this lecture. So corporate level professional training and certifications are key when we would like to select a candidate. And again, as I already mentioned, when we are talking about corporate level training, we are not talking about simple college or university courses. These are academic courses that are very important. But when we are looking into competencies, we would like that that our candidates, they are going to be different from everyone else by having that level of training, which is again the corporate level professional training and certifications from the country in which you are planning to work in. Now, another important point for you is to have a development plan. So you need to create a personal development plan. You say that in a month I'm going to learn about this topic, in a few months I'm going to learn about another topic. Don't forget that learning only is perfect, but you cannot add that into your resume. I mean, if you just say that I have a good understanding of different regulations, we say, okay, give us a documented proof of a formal training. This is why you need to go to different colleges, universities, or different, organizations that are going to allow you to have those corporate level specific and very, I would say, specific trainings on specific tasks that will make you different and of course better candidates when you're going to apply for jobs. And of course you need to set goals and identifying the skill gaps so that based on the continuous improvement, now you're going to plan ahead in order to get some skills such as project management. Okay, and again, you don't need to have project management, I would say, a certificate from any specific institution where you may have to pay thousands of dollars or paying monthly or annual I would say fees. You can just have a very simple 40-hour, maximum 40-hour training, even online trainings on project management, and just to learn about the project management itself, the skill itself. And then that certificate is again a documented proof of your again training on project management. And again, as I explained, you don't need to necessarily go to a specific institution in order to get a specific name of a certificate, and that's because project management is not a regulated job. We don't have a college of project management like college of nursing or medicine. So pay attention well to what is required by the regulations. Okay, what is required is to have specific knowledge related to compliance. Okay, now let's talk about measurement and evaluation of skill development. So these are methods for assessing and evaluating skill development. So how it works? It works based on yourself, self-assessment and feedback mechanisms. And here from where we can get the information? From our network, from our colleagues. You may also apply for jobs, again, in different companies, and you may, or hopefully you will get a job, but if you don't get the job, sometimes, not always, but you may contact HR and you may say, can you please let me know what was missing in my application? Again, you cannot just as an HR responding to 2,000 people applying for a job. It's just a full-time job. You have to hire more people. But sometimes we can always look into closely to the job description. In some organizations, when someone is hired, the organization is going to let other candidates know that someone is hired already. And in some other, again, I saw myself sometimes we had emails where the HR was saying that, yes, you didn't have this certificate, or you didn't have this training or this experience. This is why they chose to have a better candidate than you. These are all different clues or different information that the HR can give you. If not, you can always use your network, talk with people in your network, and then to even those who are working in a company in a position that you also would like to apply for in another company, for example, and they are going to give you different indications, different types of information, very selective information where they tell you, oh, by the way, you also need to have this type of skill, and you need to have the skill but with a certificate for showing that you have a documented proof of a formal training for those skills. And you have, of course, again, courses on critical thinking, on analysis, on using AI, artificial intelligence, for example, for big data analysis. You do have several types of, I would say, trainings that you can have. Again, short term, so not usually more than 30, 40 hours. So you can complete those courses that are usually online. You can, again, learn about the skills, and then you will get your certificate that will then make your resume more solid for applications for jobs. So I just want to thank you so much for joining me for today's lecture. I hope that you enjoyed the lecture and the content that is going to, of course, help you to excel in your job, and of course to even not only finding a job, not only performing in a job, but also to grow in the industry. Thank you so very much again for your attendance.
Thank you, Professor.